Hello, Uggies Worldwide. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. Today, we're going to take a look at what is ostensibly a shortwave radio. This right here, and it's from a company called RADDY, and this radio right here is supposed to receive a number of bands and that sort of thing like that. It's supposedly an improvement or built upon the RADDY RF750, which is a little tiny radio. Now, let's just talk about this radio. I'm going to go through the charts that RADDY itself provides on Amazon, and then when we're done with that, I've got this big script right here, a bunch of notes that I've put together, and we'll go through those and learn a little bit more about what I like, what I don't like, what I think they can improve, and so on. So let's go through those charts. This is the picture of the radio, and we'll show the comparison in size with the old radio in a moment. This is much bigger. It says there are three ways to recharge. There's hand crank charging, solar charging, and Type-C, which just means USB charging. It's got a Type-C input, as does everything these days. Now, I will point out, if the battery's completely dead, you need to give it a little bit of a charge with the hand crank before the electronics that control these other ways can work. One way you can keep this charged is just leave it in the sun. Now, it says a 3-in-1 radio, and this is not actually accurate. You can connect your phone via Bluetooth and have it play out of the speaker of this. Now, why would you want to do that? You actually get slightly better fidelity than something out of a phone. I think you can make it a little bit louder. So that's the wireless speaker. It says emergency radio. It is not. It does not receive special emergency frequencies or anything like that, nor can you transmit. As far as the receiver, it's got FM, AM, shortwave, and the WB is weather band. It's the NOAA weather station. Okay. Now here is comparing the two radios. One's much bigger than the other, and in fact that's the case. The battery capacity is 4 amp hours here and only 1 amp hour here. They've added the compass, the flashlight, this is for those of you who have trouble sleeping, white noise, and a sleep timer and an SOS function, which just flashes the light in SOS. It has a headphone jack, which this does not right here. Now the headphone is not included, okay? It has different ways you can charge. You can only charge this one via USB. This one right here you can charge with the solar or the hand crank. Now if you look at the features, this is the back of the device. You can see here play buttons. What these are for is you can put in a micro SD card here with MP3s on it, and you can play that here. There is no screen to indicate what you are playing, but you can. Now, here is the USB-C input. Here's the headphone jack. Now, this is interesting. This is a USB-A, and it's an output, okay? And you can use this to, like, charge your regular phone or something like that. Now, it's got the NOAA weather radio channels. There are 7 channels only, so you should be able to hear one or more near you. Now it says easy to carry. Well, look at this thing. It's dangling by the wrist strap, so it's going to go whap, 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 whap on the back. See this pocket over here? Stick your radio in there. Now, don't try to do this with the antenna extended, because it's a classic aluminum extensible antenna, and it will bend on you. One of the things they talked about was easy to carry. Well, I just happen to have a scale right here. Okay, and we'll plug this in to the computer. Turn it on. Okay, it's a little hard to see this right here, but we'll put both radios on here. Here is the radio that they talk about. Note that that is a handful, okay? This is quite a handful. It's a big radio. We're going to put it on the thing here. It weighs in at 12.4 ounces. Okay, so a significant chunk of a pound. And then we'll take a look at the old radio, which is the one that it is replacing. And this thing is 4.6 ounces. So they add about 10 ounces to it. By the way, if you want to look at the two of them together, here they are. Okay, this is obviously a lot bigger. It looks sort of like this one, but we've got this thing right here. Now let's take the scale out of the way. Okay, so in the box, we have the radio itself, which is a little chunky because it's got a solar panel on the back. It's got a pretty good sized speaker on the front. It's got a light up here, hand crank recharging right here. Okay, and you can also plug, you have to move this piece of rubber out of the way. This is somewhat waterproofing it. The thing does not profess to be waterproof, but what you have in here is a hole for the headphone, the USB-C, the USB-A output for a memory card, and then that one over there just holds this thing in place right here. Now, if you use the memory card that's in there, your play stop are right here, reverse to the next song, forward to the next song is right here. Now, there's also a mode switch up here. Your normal position is in the middle, but it will give you an SOS type thing, or just, it just says a lightning, and you can have not run into that in all my uses of it. There is a little compass on the top, okay, and then this light. Now, this light right here, if we turn this on, you have to turn the radio on, and then you can turn the light on, and notice that that is what it gives you. It's a little tiny spot. Now, if you have one little thing to do, that will help you. But if you need more area light, you want more a flashlight. See the difference between this and this? This lights up everything, and this lights up that little tiny spot right there. I wish this were a more of a floodlight rather than that little tiny light right there. Okay, so now the button that turns that on is way over here. Way over here next to this. I see my big fat finger. There's 4 little buttons in there. There's a mode, a band. The band in here is not a band that plays, but it's FM, AM, shortwave, and weather band. Okay, and this little thing with the numbers on it helps it move between shortwave bands. Now, this right here around the compass is the volume control.
Bluetooth mode.
Okay, this right here is radio over here, and BT,
Bluetooth mode,
Bluetooth,
music,
and a memory player. Okay, so we'll put this on radio. Now, this thing says band right here. Okay, you'll see that, well, maybe it's easier to see here. You'll see that as I push the band button, the different buttons change, and you've got 4 bands on shortwave. I'm sorry, 4 bands, FM, AM, shortwave, and weather band. Now, the weather band, see, I have the weather band working here. Weather band's not working. Why's the weather band not working? There are 7 weather band channels, and I was hearing Montrose earlier. Anyway, now for FM, we'll do just a quick demonstration by doing the mode up to FM, tuning around.
A bit difficult to say what exactly happens to any of that stuff after it's donated, because then it's sort of
okay. Now we're AM. So it's working on AM. We don't pick up very many AM stations down here. Okay, so it picks up. Now on shortwave, this is shortwave. Now this little button with the music things on here changed the band that you're looking at for the shortwave. You see that little red light marching across there? Now I'll make a confession. I've tried this thing both during the day and at night, and I have been unable to receive any shortwave stations, not even WWV. Okay, now I know we're getting this series of radio blackouts, but I was able to hear it fine on my ham radio. Okay, so that gives you that, and then that brings us back to the weather band. I don't know why I'm not hearing the weather band. I was earlier. It comes from Montrose, which is about 25 miles away. Okay, so let me go through my notes. And we need to turn this off. You got to remember to turn it off. Okay. Now, the manual is written in English and German, so about half in each. I don't know why they picked German, but this Radioddity company, which puts out the RADDY, seems to have some sort of a connection with the German firm. So in the box, we have the radio, the USB-A to USB-C, which can be used two ways. Plug USB-A into a charger or your computer, and then plug it into this to charge the internal rechargeable battery. No, it will not take AA's or something like that. And so you use this USB-C. Now you can also plug the USB-A into the back of this right here and use that to charge your phone if your phone takes USB-C, which they all do nowadays, or you'll have to carry your own cable. So there's the cable, the instruction manual, and the radio. Now it also acts as a Bluetooth device for playing from some Bluetooth device that can originate music like your phone. You can also insert the micro SD card. The controls are on the back. There is a headphone jack, although no headphone is supplied. Now, you can charge the battery from zero with the hand crank. Now, it's interesting. If the battery is not zero, you can charge it with the solar panel or USB-A to USB-C. But if it's zero, you can do the hand cranking for a while. Now, I will warn you, it will take a lot of hand cranking. Okay. Now, if you plug in the USB-C on this, some USB-C charging devices will start probing this thing to see if it can up the voltage or up the current or anything like that. This does not, and if your charging device tries to do that, it'll just shut down from that. So it's not a fancy USB-C like that. Now, if you use this as a USB-A source for external devices, when the device is doing this, all other functions cease. I mentioned the light being a small beam. The FM sound is a bit better than I expected, a bit more bass. It's certainly, we're not playing something from Bose or Sony or anything like that, but it is quite listenable. Okay, now be sure to get out the manual and learn how to get to the different shortwave bands. The tiny 18-inch whip is a woeful antenna for shortwave. Now, what you could do is clip a longer wire to this, but the way the amplifiers are set up in here, if you do that, you'll overload the receiver. So you're kind of stuck with what you've got. So outdoors at night, this may get you a shortwave station or two if they're really strong. There's not much shortwave broadcasting left, except religious broadcasting, which is thriving. But you can pick up WWV or something like that. I very, very faintly heard WWV on this thing, no other stations. Now, there are some auto-tuning features that'll bring you into an FM station or something like that. Read the manual for those. The cluster of the 4 buttons on the top of the radio, right here, are a little hard to read. They're black buttons surrounded by black plastic, and the use of the button is inscribed in black letters. So black on black on black can be a little hard to do. What it be, you may have to do is turn on the flashlight, hold your hand there so you can see what those buttons are. Now, it's very difficult to get to these without touching the volume. I've had trouble with that. I'd move them a little further apart or move them onto the back. Now there's an SOS flashlight display in this thing. It also plays an alarm. Okay, you know you've got an emergency, but anybody within hearing distance of that, unless you're in a place that's got a lot of people around, it's not going to do you much good. The biggest drawback on this thing is that there's no digital readout of frequency like there is on some of the other radios. So your tuning is by guess and by golly on everything to make sure you get where you want to get. The RADDY views the RE40 is a significant upgrade from the RE750, or F750. Okay, and obviously it's much bigger, but it certainly is a descendant in the direction of the looks. Okay, now there are some memories for holding frequencies for various bands, just a few, but you can look inside. Now, how do you get this thing? It's about $50 on Amazon. I'll put a link on here that if you use that link, you won't change the price of the item, but it will get a little bit of a finder's fee that will come to the channel and help the channel, and I appreciate that. Now, do I recommend you get this radio? I recommend that you have something like it in your Go kit, or your 72-hour kit, or your emergency kit, or whatever you may call it. The key thing is to remember to keep it charged. The easiest way probably being just to lay it where the sun can get to the back of this and keep this thing charged, because this gives you your flashlight, your AM and FM, so you can listen for emergencies. It does have the ability to play off a memory card and stuff like that. But from the emergency point of view, solar charging, hand crank charging, a light, and a radio. Everybody needs something like this in your Go kit. Okay, try out all the features. Keep the manual with the radio. Okay, now the you might make a little pouch for it or something like that, a little bag with a drawstring, or maybe you want to have a piece of clear plastic over the back so you can charge it, but keep the manual with the radio, because if you have evacuated, say because of a fire, a flood, a snow emergency, whatever, you are going to be very confused. And if you don't have the manual right there, you're relying entirely on memory. Now, there is a white noise generator that some people think will help you sleep. Some people use them and swear by them. I prefer silence when I sleep. Even my CPAP doesn't even make a squeak. So there you have it. A look at the RADDY. Do I recommend? I recommend you have something like this. Okay, with the identical features, this is as good as any. It will give you the weather, the AM, the FM broadcast, and it will give you the flashlight, the ability to recharge your phone. All of that is pretty cool. This is a pretty essential device. And why not a RADDY as well as anything else? Like I said, this is about $50. So there you have it. I hope you found that helpful. If you did, please subscribe. Please click like. Please share. And if you would like to help this channel financially to keep going and pay for the expenses that we have, you can look at the charts that follow right after this. They're sort of white on black. And then after that, we're going to have a listing of the patrons that's brand new for the new year. So until we next meet, 73.